Some people are born to do certain things. Pavarotti was born to sing, Picasso was born to paint, and Ayrton Senna da Silva, a boy from a wealthy family in Sao Paulo, Brazil, was born to drive a racing car. It was in his blood, his soul, his very DNA. He wasn't just good at it. He was a natural, a prodigy. It all began, as these stories often do, with a go-kart. His father Milton built him a small 1-horsepower machine when he was just 4 years old. Most kids at that age are busy learning how to not eat crayons. Senna, on the other hand, was busy learning how to find the perfect racing line around the garden. This wasn't just a childhood hobby, it was an obsession, a calling. He took to that little cart like a fish to water, or perhaps more accurately, like a Brazilian to a football. By the time he was 13, he was competing in proper karting championships. And here's the thing, he was winning. A lot. His first ever race, they say, was on a wet track. While all the other kids were spinning out and getting flustered, Senna was dancing with the machine, finding grip where there was none. This was the first glimpse of the Rain Master, a talent so profound it seemed almost supernatural, a sign of the greatness that was to come. He dominated the South American karting scene, but Brazil was never going to be big enough to contain his ambition. To be the best, you had to beat the best, and in the world of motor racing, that meant one place, Europe, specifically Britain. So, in 1981, he packed his bags, left the sunshine of Sao Paulo for the perpetual drizzle of England, and entered the world of single-seater racing. He started in Formula Ford 1600, and to absolutely no one's surprise, he won. He moved up to Formula Ford 2000 and he won again. He was a force of nature, a hurricane of speed and determination. His raw talent was so blindingly obvious that it couldn't be ignored. He wasn't just fast, he was intelligent, analytical, and utterly relentless in his pursuit of perfection. He would work with his mechanics for hours, long after everyone else had gone home, just to find a tenth of a second. This wasn't just about winning races. It was about mastering the art of driving. It was a spiritual quest, a deep, personal journey to push the absolute limits of what a man and a machine could achieve together. And the Formula One teams, the big boys, were all watching. They knew a superstar was on the horizon. In 1984, the call finally came. Senna stepped into the Formula One circus, starting with a plucky little team called Toleman. Now, Toleman cars were not, to put it mildly, frontrunners. They were more like glorified tractors with wings. Yet in his very first season, Senna did something extraordinary at the Monaco Grand Prix. It was pouring with rain, a proper biblical downpour. While seasoned champions were struggling, Senna, in his underdog Toleman, was flying. He carved through the field, overtaking legends with breathtaking skill, and was catching the leader when the race was controversially stopped. He had arrived, and he had brought the thunder with him. After his stunning debut, he quickly moved to a better team, Lotus. Here, he started turning his raw potential into actual victories. He got his first win in 1985 at the Portuguese Grand Prix, and yes, you guessed it, the race was held in appalling wet conditions. It was a masterclass. He lapped almost the entire field, demonstrating a level of car control that was simply on another planet. With Lotus, he honed his craft, becoming known for his blistering speed, especially over a single qualifying lap. He could wring the neck of a car and extract a lap time that seemed to defy the laws of physics. But winning races wasn't enough. Senna wanted to win championships, and for that, he needed the best car. In 1988, he made the move that would define his career. He joined McLaren. His teammate was the formidable Alain Prost, a brilliant and calculating driver known as the Professor. This set the stage for one of the most intense and bitter rivalries in sporting history. With the dominant McLaren Honda, Senna stormed to his first world championship in 1988, a season where he and Prost won 15 of the 16 races. It was total, crushing dominance. Senna would go on to win 2 more world titles with McLaren in 1990 and 1991, cementing his place as one of the sport's all-time greats. His time at McLaren was the peak of his powers. He pushed the team, he pushed his rivals, and most of all, he pushed himself to new heights. Victories at legendary tracks like Monaco, which he won a record 6 times, became his signature. He wasn't just a driver anymore, he was a phenomenon, a global superstar whose yellow helmet became an iconic symbol of speed, passion, and uncompromising will to win. What made Senna so special wasn't just the number of races he won, it was how he won them. His driving style was pure, unadulterated aggression. He drove with his heart, with a level of passion that you could feel through the television screen. Where other drivers saw a gap that was too small, Senna saw an opportunity. He was a supreme opportunist, a risk-taker who believed that if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you are no longer a racing driver. This philosophy made him both feared and revered on the track, a driver who would push every boundary to find an advantage. His rivalry with Alain Prost was the stuff of legend. It was a clash of titans, a perfect storm of opposing personalities and driving styles. Senna was the emotional, instinctive warrior. Prost was the cool, calculating intellectual. Their battles were not just on the track. They were psychological wars fought in the media and behind closed doors. Their rivalry came to a head in two infamous championship-deciding collisions at the Japanese Grand Prix in 1989 and 1990. It was brutal, controversial, and utterly captivating, defining an entire era of Formula One and splitting fans down the middle. Then there was his mastery in the wet. When the heavens opened, Senna entered a different dimension. For him, rain wasn't a problem, it was an advantage. He had an innate ability to feel the car, to sense the grip where others couldn't. His performance at the 1993 European Grand Prix at Donington Park is perhaps the greatest single lap in F1 history. Starting in fourth, he was passed at the start, dropping to fifth. Then, in the pouring rain, he unleashed a lap of such audacious brilliance that he overtook 4 cars, including his rival Prost, to take the lead before he'd even finished. It was pure genius. This fearless, on-the-edge style connected deeply with fans. People didn't just admire Senna, they believed in him. He drove with an emotional intensity that was mesmerizing. He was a hero to millions in his home country of Brazil, a symbol of hope and national pride during a difficult time for the nation. When Senna won, the whole of Brazil won with him. His victories were a source of immense joy and unity. He carried the weight of a nation's expectations on his shoulders, and he did so with a fierce, unwavering pride that made his bond with his people unbreakable. Beyond the cockpit, Senna was a deeply spiritual and compassionate man. He was fiercely proud of his Brazilian roots and deeply troubled by the poverty he saw in his home country. He quietly donated millions of his personal fortune to help underprivileged children, establishing the groundwork for what would become the Ayrton Senna Institute after his death. This charitable foundation has since helped educate millions of Brazilian children, providing them with opportunities they would never have had. He was more than a sportsman. He was a humanitarian who used his fame and fortune to make a real difference. The world of motorsport changed forever on May 1, 1994. During the San Marino Grand Prix at the Imola circuit, Senna's Williams car inexplicably veered off the track at the high-speed Tamburello corner and hit a concrete wall. The crash was horrific. A stunned silence fell over the world as millions watched in disbelief. At just 34 years old, the man who seemed invincible was gone. His death sent a shockwave not just through Formula One, but across the globe. Brazil declared 3 days of national mourning, and millions lined the streets for his funeral. A hero had fallen. In the wake of this tragedy, Formula One was forced to confront its own dangerous nature. Senna's death, along with that of Roland Ratzenberger the day before, became a catalyst for a safety revolution. The sport could no longer accept death as an inevitable part of racing. Track designs were altered, cars were made stronger, and driver safety standards were improved beyond recognition. The changes were so profound that for over 2 decades after Senna's crash, no driver died during a Formula One race weekend. In a tragic way, his final unintended legacy was saving the lives of the drivers who came after him. Even today, decades after his final race, Ayrton Senna's name is spoken with reverence. He is remembered not just for his 3 world titles or his incredible victories, but for the way he drove and the way he lived. He was a complex, brilliant, and deeply passionate man who transcended his sport. He showed that it was possible to be a ruthless competitor on the track and a compassionate human being off it. He remains an inspiration, a benchmark for greatness, and a permanent reminder of the power of a single individual to captivate the world and leave an indelible mark on history.